We made it. It is WagerTalk's last call. I am Kelly Stewart. I'm going to tell all of you how this is going to work. We could be here for 10 minutes. We could be here for an hour. It is all indicative of your participation. Today, we've got Art DiCesare from the Superbook in Nevada at the Westgate. We've got Gianni the Greek. You know him from the UFC. And we're finishing off hot with Ross Benjamin from WagerTalk.com. You guys have a question for one of these guys, drop it in the chat, whether it's on TikTok, X, Instagram, or of course, YouTube. You dictate this show because I'd rather be watching College Game Day and getting in last minute bets. I can text Art DiCesare and get all of this back information from him and John Murray there over at the Westgate. I can ask VR who the late plays are. I can text Ross Benjamin and ask for his best bets today. I don't need to do the show. So your participation is necessary. We're going to do this every single college football Saturday, every single NFL Sunday. You think I want to work Saturdays and Sundays? I'm a man of the people. A woman of the people. You get my point. Let's bring in Art DiCesare from the Westgate Superbook, live from, I think, John Murray's office. I know that yellow wall from anywhere.
Yeah.
There's Art. Good morning. Bright and early there on the West Coast. He has been there since 5 a.m., you guys. That is absolute dedication in the Risk Room. Art, we're going to let the people kind of dictate how this is going to go, any questions on specific games. But I got to hear, we've got, little less than an hour before the noon Eastern games kick off. What kind of action are we seeing right now at the Westgate?
Kelly, we're seeing a lot of action. Obviously, since we've moved to the minus 109 splits as well with the college football, we've seen a lot of money that's come over the counter and through the app, in the last couple of days. So, and obviously there's a lot of marquee games, Early, you got Clemson and Georgia. You got Penn State, West Virginia. You got Notre Dame, A&M. You got Miami and Florida. So you got a lot of marquee games. And, we got a lot of extra games, FCS games. We got a full slate of college football. It's going to be a fun morning.
All right, I want to back it up real quick because one thing I didn't ask John Murray this week on the Kelly and Murray show was a lot of people are going to see minus 109 and think, it's just a penny. Right? Like, what's that really mean? But talk to me about what that actually means for the bettors and why they need to be going to download the Superbook Westgate. Technically, I think it's, how do you download it? Westgate Superbook is how you find the app, I believe, on the App Store. I had to change it because it used to be the Superbook. But that app, you can have pretty decent limits as well as bigger limits over the counter. But it's only a cent for every dollar, Art. It's not really that big of a deal, or is it?
Of course it's a big deal. It's money in bettors' pockets. I mean, that's how you got to look at it. Over a long term and long season, if you're coming in and betting a nickel, betting a dime, you're making those type of bets every Saturday. And then even with the minus 108, on NFL every Sunday, I know we're not doing NFL today, but it's like, that's money in your pocket, guys. So you just have to look at it that way.
Absolutely. The Westgate is trying to generate tons of action there on college football and NFL Sundays, at least in regards to their sides. All right, Art, we are going to take some questions from the audience as soon as you guys drop them here in the chat. But Art, give me some actionable info for these noon games, maybe for some of the 3:30 games to start off.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the early stuff, Penn State, West Virginia was bet by the Sharps, plus 10.5, plus 10. We're now down to 7.5 on Penn State. Penn State's in everyone's money line parlay, so you got a lot of action there with the money lines. But, we're going to need Penn State at the current number and, the current numbers. And then obviously Clemson and Georgia. That line is completely dropped. I mean, that was as high as 13.5. There were even some 14s out there. We're now sitting 10.5. We're going to still need Clemson, though. It's weird. Even though with the two running backs out for Georgia, we took a pretty significant bet on Georgia at minus 11.5. That guy probably wishes he would have got down this morning and gotten down at 10.5. But right now, we still need Clemson in the game.
As somebody who has a terrible number, 8.5, I got at the Superbook on Wednesday on West Virginia. That is not music to my ears. We do have a question from the chat. Let's pop that back up so we can get it for Art, because I know that you guys want to hear from these bookmakers so that we can. How is Iowa only 2.5? Talk to me about this Iowa game. I think the total is really interesting as well.
Yeah, it is very interesting. I mean, Iowa's definitely more than 2.5, though. We talking the Iowa Hawkeyes?
I'm wondering if he had a typo there.
Yeah, because they were like 22.
25.
Yeah.
I'm guessing he means 25.
Yeah. I think it's because a lot of people are obviously always skeptical of their offense, which should be better. They got rid of the coach's son. We know they're going to have one of the best defenses in the country, if not the best defense. And clearly they've been betting the under today because we've seen the under drop a point or a point and a half. So, yeah, if I was minus 2.5, we would get slaughtered on that.
Yeah, I just wrote our producer. I go, holy shit, guys, can we vet these questions? I'm just reading them blindly off the screen. I'm like, wait, that's not right. Oh, this is a good one. This is a thought process on my own. I do not follow a lot of these smaller schools. And Sam Houston plus 9.5 was an interesting one that I've had people ask all week. Are you guys seeing anything in terms of handle on these smaller games, or is it all marquee action?
You always see handle in the smaller games, and you always see sharp money. And sharp money came in on Sam Houston at plus 11.5. So if you want Sam Houston, you've probably missed the number on that. So, you've already seen a 2 to 1.5 point move on that. But don't think that just because it's not Clemson and Georgia or Notre Dame, Texas A&M, that these games don't see handle. They do. The extra games, the lower tier games, you see totals move 3 to 5 points. A lot of sharp action comes in on those. But, if you have missed the early number, you're never getting that number back on those games. Where the marquee games, the numbers can go back and forth. You can kind of wait and see what happens, and then you always have in-game possibilities.
All right, we're going to kind of go back to, well, actually, let's hit Jack's question first. Art, the move on UGA Clemson spread because of suspensions or actual Clemson money?
I think it's suspensions. I mean, like I said, we haven't really seen the Clemson money come in. We took that pretty good sized bet on Georgia early in the week at minus 11.5, and the market's just moved that way, and I think it has to do with the suspensions.
All right, so John Murray gave me a few plays on the Kelly and Murray show. Last night we cashed the under in FAU, Michigan State, under 48.5. He gave me these. Now I'm kind of a little skeptical at this point in time. These were on Wednesday night. UNLV plus 3. Do you think that's some home cooking there in Las Vegas at the Westgate that fans are betting it, or was that actual sharp money?
Well, hopefully you didn't bet it. You can get 3.5 this morning. Now, that's been an interesting game. Early when the numbers came out in the summer, you saw the plus 3 money coming on UNLV. That actually got to as low as Houston, minus 1.5. The buyback came pretty strong on Houston, got back to the original number 3, and then you saw people laying 3 with Houston. So we're at 3.5. I like that UNLV team. I think they have the most underrated receiver in the country in White. I mean, 3.5 is a nice number. I actually would take a shot with them on the money line.
Ooh, all right. Notre Dame plus 3. He said he saw a sharp account bet them over A&M. I hate this game. I said that on the Kelly Murray show. I said I want nothing to do with this game. I think it looks boring. I think it looks exciting from a brand perspective, but these are two teams that never live up to the hype that starts for week 1.
No, and that's going to be a defensive struggle. You've seen some good under money come in. And listen, that was a game that was picked, and you saw a lot of sharps come in on A&M early. And I think the buyback on Notre Dame was the 3 with a sharp just saying, hey, it's gotten a 3. It's not going to get any higher. And that person could have easily taken pick. So, they lay pick, take pick, take 3, kind of hope the number falls in the middle there. So that's a clear indicator sometimes on what will happen, especially when a game starts at pick and then gets to, not that there's really the key numbers in college football, but if you can get to 3 or 3.5, you'll buy back.
I think there's some key numbers in college football. Let's talk about Fresno State sitting at 21.5. The other day, John Murray said they got bought. That's why you guys moved to 21. Tell me about this game. Michigan's got Texas on deck.
Well, that's the clear look-ahead spot. Obviously, them and Texas playing CSU. I mean, of course people are going to take Fresno. They know Michigan is looking ahead to Texas, so that's why you saw the money come in on on Fresno State, and you saw a lot of under money come in. That was a total that was like 48.5. Now you're seeing a total of 45.5.
All right, Art, I'm going to take a couple more questions from the chat. We're going to let you get back to the risk room. Any thoughts on Syracuse versus Ohio? What are we seeing in terms of splits over there at the Superbook?
We are going to need Cuse. I mean, we saw money at plus 18, plus 17.5, and now we're seeing Syracuse minus 16. I mean, that has moved 2.5 points. So we will be rooting big time here for Syracuse.
That's interesting. Any other, Colorado State backdoor cover against Texas, we kind of just touched on that. Are you guys going to actually need Colorado State? This has been an interesting one, Art. Well, I think 35, even 35 and a half over the summer. We saw as low as 31 and a half. Now we've seen it crept back up. What's going on with this one?
Yeah, the initial was the, CSU money, Colorado State, that was 35, 34 and a half, got pretty low, and then we've seen some Texas buyback. So right now, that's kind of a game that's not really a need either way, but the initial sharp money was on Colorado State because of the look-ahead spot for Texas.
All right, give me some of your biggest needs here at the Westgate on college football Saturday, week 1.
How about Alabama? Alabama, we saw a nice five-figure bet. Yeah, saw a nice five-figure bet come in yesterday, minus 32. We're now sitting Alabama minus 34. So we're really going to be rooting against Bama, which is normally a thing for us in the book. But you would think, wow, first game, no Saban, basically playing a nobody. They came in and laid that number, and you've seen the move.
That's interesting. Anything else actionable that we need to give our audience here on Last Call before I let you go?
Yeah, Sharps took Indiana. They laid 22. That's gotten to 23 and a half against FIU. So FIU is also going to be a big need for us.
All right, FIU. Didn't think I was going to be getting involved in Florida Atlantic today, but I guess we're going to at Art Dice 21 over on X. Make sure you guys are giving him a follow. Of course, minus 109 right now at the Westgate on college football sides. Next Sunday, minus 108 on those NFL sides. We're going to check in with him each and every single Saturday. You can also catch Art on WagerTalk today with Teddy and Prez. Thank you, Art, for hanging out. Thank you, John Murray, for letting us use your office. Now get back in there and find out some other needs. You can text me on the side, Art. Appreciate you. Let's bring in Gianni the Greek. We love the Greek Gambler for all of his actionable information as well. All right, VR, first thing I'm going to let you do, play contrarian. Anything you've seen that is opposite of the Westgate, maybe. They mentioned Syracuse was a big need. They're going to be rooting against Bama week 1. They're going to need FIU, maybe some Sam Houston State or some UNLV action. Can you confirm or can you rebuttal any of that?
Yes, we actually are on the Florida International side. There's a lot of manipulation going on. That much I can tell you. And especially guys that have the power to move the screen right now, they are being used to move the screen. And then you're seeing a lot of comeback the other way. That's why I've told my subscribers, Kelly, if you're not ready to trade, don't mess with me. Because we're going to make our money this season like we did last college football season. But it's not as easy as here's the 5 bets to make today. Sit back and make your 5 bets. There's a lot of line movement, a lot of manipulation going on right now. So be careful with drawn conclusions because I've seen it on multiple games. You touched on the UNLV game. We like the UNLV side over Houston at 3.5 as well. Fresno State and Michigan, I know, like you were saying, there's sharp money on Fresno. The reason that hasn't dropped, though, below that 21 is because of the early sharp money on Michigan. So Michigan did get hit early, kind of like the Texas A&M Notre Dame. I love what Art said because I was actually one of the groups that was behind that early move on Texas A&M. I sent that out to my subscribers at like a pick'em on Texas A&M or money line minus 112, minus 115. And then we came back later and took Notre Dame +3. Now that irritates a lot of subscribers and irritates guys more that buy that day and they look in the back end. They're like, what do I do? He's got Texas A&M at a pick'em. He's got Notre Dame at +3. What do I do? You do nothing. Or you take the bet that you like, based on your risk, because there's going to be situations based on the movement of the market, Kel, where the other side starts to make sense. And as a sports bettor that bets for profit, you're almost forced to jump on that other side, kind of like the Penn State game. I'm on West Virginia at +10.5, like Art touched on. He said Sharps came in at 10.5. I was one of those guys that bet the 10.5, and I sent to my subscribers at 10.5. I think actually I took it up to 11. We got 11. So how can I not lay Penn State today at -7, 7.5, even lay a little juice to get 7 at a total of 50, 51? You'd be foolish not to lay a 7 and take an 11. So it irritates some of the bettors that, are more fans, that they want to watch a game. They want to be on the side and bet it and just cheer in that side. But you know how I do it. I'm looking to bet numbers.
I disagree.
The best of the number.
VR, middling a game like that is one of the most electric feelings. It is
that's how I feel, Kel.
I don't understand how people don't love it. Look, even if, let's just say it ends Texas A&M 24, Notre Dame 21. You now sided it, which means you pushed on one side of the bet and you won the other. If it ends 22-21, it ends 31-30, it ends anywhere in that 3-point range, A&M wins and Notre Dame covers. That is huge for your bankroll.
And you want to hear something? Here's why getting good numbers, Kel, matters so much. Perfect example. I didn't do it last year, but I did it the year prior. I had such a big sample size, I didn't have to do it again last year. Here's what I found the season prior. If you bet all the moves, let's say the moves that are steam, that are confirmed steam, if you bet it at the opening number, the early number, you cash 62% of your bets over a 400 bet sample size. You went 62% against the number. If you bet it late versus the close, you went 50%. You went 184, 182 with 3 pushes. So you lost money. The difference between hitting over 60% of your bets or losing money just based on the line move. So if you bet the early steam, you went cash 6 out of 10 bets. If you bet the steam against the close, you lost money because of the VIG. That's why I always tell bettors, if the number moves significantly, you just can't take it anymore. You're now hoping to be the product of good luck. You know you're not getting the best of it. You know that the market was not that many points off. So I always say, if the number's not there, if it moves too much, just step back and pass. There's always going to be a better bet coming along. And, week one, so many of these lines have been up for weeks, months, that they've moved very significantly. So you got to be cautious here in week one.
I could not agree more. Being cautious in week one is exactly what I tried to do, except I'm an absolute utter hypocrite because I did take 8.5 with West Virginia. I think they win the game outright. That is a whole nother argument we might get into with Ross Benjamin here to end the show. VR is one of my favorite contributors here at WagerTalk. Every single week, college football edition of Bet On It, NFL edition of Bet On It. He's going to provide us with some gold. If you guys have a question for VR, you got about 7 more minutes for my guy. This one is for Gianni. What is the advantage of being able to, okay, here we go. Same question I asked Art. Being able to bet college football at -109 versus -110. It's only a penny on every dollar though, VR.
No. You know how much money that adds up to? And the win percentage that you need to break even or be profitable drops a little bit. I don't know the exact number for 109, so I don't want to pick an arbitrary number, but here's what I do know, because I always fight for -105 lines, because I know if I could convince a bookmaker to give me -105 instead of -1010, I cut my hold in half. So they have a 4.5% hold. So out of every 100 we bet, they expect to make $4.50 based on -110. At -105, they only expect to make $2.50. So that cuts their edge in half just by being able to lay -105 compared to -1010. So sure, laying -109, not as significant, but it still shades some of that percentage that you need to hit to break even and be profitable. And any little edge you can get is going to help you higher probability that you will be profitable. Because again, it's very hard to make money long-term betting sports. It's a tough market. They have the built-in edge. Remember, we pay admission every time we place a bet. We don't think it that way because when we win, we get our money back. But every time you place a bet, you're being charged admission. You're being charged 11 to win 10, whether you like it or not. So if I could lay a 9 to win 10, that's even better. Like if I could get -105, 6, 7, 8, anything better than -110, that increases my profit or lowers my losses. So it's huge. Anytime you could get discounted VIG. Why do you think now with betting being more mainstream that you see a lot of these corporate books are juicing upwards, not -110, -112, -113s, -115s, because they know their hold's going to be so much greater just by bumping it up 1 penny. By making their bettors lay -111 or -112 instead of -110 means so much money to their bottom line. Because remember, you're rolling that money over and over and over and over and over again.
Sorry to interject, VR, but why do you think that is? Do you think they know Do you think they know? Let's pick on a big market, a FanDuel, a DraftKings, a Caesars, a BetMGM. Do you think they know that their customers are not price shopping,
100%.
so they just think they can get away with it?
And they know, even if their clientele is sharp, because there's a lot of people have good information nowadays. There's sharp people out there that share content. There's tons of shows that talk about it, like we're doing right now. So people know, Kelly, but they still don't have the discipline to do the right thing. It's kind of like, I know how to get a six-pack, but I don't have one. Why? Because I ate a double scoop of ice cream last night. I ain't getting a six-pack doing that. And it's kind of like with you see it with sports betting, Kel. Someone wants to lay the -6.5. If they drive 15 minutes to the casino and they walk in and it's -7, they're still going to bet it. They'll still bet it, and the casino knows that. And they know about the VIG as well, that they could charge -112, -115, and people will still bet it. They don't really care about the difference, because if I win, I don't pay VIG. You only pay VIG when you lose. I've heard that so many times.
Oh, yeah. Juice only hurts if it loses.
Exactly. What are you talking about? You've already put up the juice. You've already put it up. So it doesn't matter whether it wins or loses. You've already put it up. So you've already paid that admission price. And I think that's the disconnect, Kel. That's why they're still playing blackjack off continuous shuffle and 6 to 5 instead of 3 to 2, because they're still going to play. It's why they lay -120 on the Super Bowl coin flip when they know it's a 50-50 proposition, because they want the action. They don't care about placing good bets. They care about placing a bet. That's the difference. If you want to win, you got to place good bets. If you want action, just place bets. That's the difference.
Absolutely. You got to place good bets. That's what we're here doing at WagerTalk, teaching you guys how to become better bettors, making better bets, losing less bets. Miami, Ohio money line. Have you seen anything on this game, VR? I forgot they were playing today.
That's what I'm looking for. I'm like, who is Miami against Northwestern? No, I saw two-way action on that. I saw the total get manipulated. I saw the under get hit at 40 on screen, and then off screen over 39.5. Usually when that happens, that second move is really strong. So 40's one, I mean, key numbers, key totals, call them what they will. But getting off that round 40, they were able to do it with minimal money. And I saw a big over the top on that 39.5. I don't have much on the side for you. Just looking at it now, your guess is probably better than mine since you looked at that game. But I can tell you, public-wise, the books are going to need the Miami O side. Northwestern's one-sided in the back end for most of looking at the square action. I'd say 6, 7 out of 10 public bets are on Northwestern. Home team -3, it makes sense. I'd bet Miami O money line if I was betting that.
Ooh, all right. I'll take a look at that. Hopefully we got a little bit of time before kickoff. We got about 32 minutes here. If you guys have questions, I'm going to let VR go because I know he's got to put in lots of last minute action for his subscribers. VR, every week on Bet On It, you give us some gold. And sometimes you get some late gold. We film that show on Wednesdays. Give me some of that late gold here in the last 90 seconds.
Absolutely, Kelly. We got Boise State -13. Late one that came in is that UNLV plus the 3.5 and the over. Over 54, over 55 as well. Wyoming's another total. We were willing to go over 47.5, over 48, over 48.5. Those are usually very strong. Wyoming +7. I don't know why that's not at 6 or 6.5, because multiple groups keep betting Wyoming. So that one worries me a little because we're heavy on Wyoming as well, but I see a ton of Wyoming from the wise guys, and I don't see the respect from the market yet. That worries me a little bit. And the under in the Notre Dame game, under 49. I'm seeing some take back on the over 46.5, over 47, but when it went a little higher, you saw more on the under. So I don't trust that over money at all. In the Notre Dame Texas game, I definitely like the under there. And real quick, Kennesaw State came in. Kennesaw State, because they bet them in the first half, and they bet the over in that game. Kennesaw State, UTSA, over first half, and they bet over in the game at 49 and 49.5. So look at the over there, and they like the dog as well. So expecting a lot of points in Kennesaw State and UTSA. And remember, UMass, Eastern Michigan, one of those setup games. They took the +3 on Eastern Michigan, got it bet all the way down, and then unloaded 2, 3, 4X on UMass. So something about UMass that they like a lot. So that's some of the late stuff. And Syracuse first quarter -6.5. So they got Ohio. My subscribers got Ohio +17.5 for the game, and they got Syracuse -6.5 first quarter. It sounds contrary. contradictory, but they're two very different bets. So there's some
Remember at
gold
the
for you.
beginning of the show?
I love this. This is the best show ever. Up to the minute late information, you can't get better than this.
That's what we're doing here, VR. I said at the beginning of the show was not for me. I can just call you and you can give me this information. I can call the Westgate and get the same information. We are running through a brick wall this morning for you guys. We got 29 minutes till kickoff. Shout out to VR. We will see him again on Wednesday on the NFL and college football editions of Bet On It. At Greek_Gambler on all your social channels. He's been putting out a ton of Instagram content and TikTok as well. So make sure you guys are following him there. And of course, you can catch him on the UFC. Let's bring in Ross Benjamin. He's going to take the rest of your college football questions. If you have a question, drop it in the chat. If you don't have a question, we're getting the hell out of here because we got college football to watch. Ross?
Absolutely. I'm excited. First full week of college football action. The card leaves a lot to be desired, Kelly, with a lot of FBS versus FCS matchups. But you know what? College football's back, and anybody who does this for a living loves this time of year.
Yeah, Ross Benjamin 1 on all your social channels. He is also on Instagram doing a great job over there. We got questions from the chat. We're going to fire right away. Can Indiana cover 22?
I think they can. New coach, new quarterback as Rourke comes over from Ohio, who lost a ton of players, by the way. I know you guys have been talking about that Syracuse-Ohio game. But in any event, yes, it's not a game that I'm going to put any my own hard-earned money on, but I would, if I had a lean, it would be toward Indiana. Bring over the former head coach over at James Madison, who did a terrific job there. New quarterback, and he's a good one. So, yeah, I would say that if you put the proverbial gun to my head, Kelly, I would lean that way.
All right. I know you sent me this morning. You wanted to touch on this total as well. Hit the thumbs up. Thank you, Hunts Point. We will hit the thumbs up. The subscribe button. We're going to be here every single Saturday and Sunday. Not tomorrow, but going forward. I want to talk about the A&M Notre Dame total. So VR mentioned they've seen two-way action. The Westgate mentioned they've seen a lot of under money, but you have an opinion on this game, and I'm really curious to hear it because I am completely conflicted. I originally liked the under. I'm hoping VR gets that middle. Those are always games I'm rooting for, but you like the total here. Give it to me.
Yeah, I like the under here. Opened at 49, came down to 46.5. It does not shock me that we've seen a little movement toward the over here, going to 47 and 47.5. I think that's more public money than it is sharp money. Look, here's the thing. The total opens at 49. Anybody who follows sharp money should know the general public doesn't line up 2 weeks in advance to bet an under. So this is a sharp money move. You're also looking at two teams that early on, their defense is going to carry them. Bottom line is that you have Mike Elko going over to Texas A&M, and this guy's a great defensive mind. And here's the thing, the caveat here is Elko, former head coach at Duke last year, his former quarterback at Duke is the starting quarterback now at Notre Dame, Riley Leonard. And who would know how to defend Riley Leonard better than a guy like Elko? On top of that, Notre Dame returns a ton of players and experience on defense. I think both teams will go through some growing pains early offensively. I think this is a defensive battle. I think you'll see some long drives that have to be settled for field goals. So I like the under here, Kelly. I liked it 2 weeks ago. I got down at 49, at 47.5. Now it's still there. I love the fact that it came up to 47.5. I fully expected that.
Yeah, I think we're going to see more over money. David Sanders, Ross, any input on the Boise State game? Did I see VR mentioned they laid 13 with this team? Do you agree with that move, or are you on the other side?
You know what? This is a game, again, I'm going to stay away from and watch and see what happens here, because I really hesitant early on to lay double-digit number on the road. As good as Boise State may be this year, that's still you're looking at a team playing in their home opener. It's not like Boise State's going to be sky high to play this game, other than the fact that it's a season opener. I just don't like laying double digits on the road, and I'm certainly not going to endeavor in this game whatsoever, Kelly.
While Ross Benjamin might be newer to WagerTalk, we maybe got him from another, we'll call it perspective company. He did finish the college football season last year on a 10-3 run, 62-42. He finished number 2 in college football money earned. And we are so happy to have him here at WagerTalk. We are going to get him some more questions from the chat if you guys have them. We talked about this one a little bit, and I don't know how to feel about this game, Ross. I know VR said at 3.5, they bet UNLV. Looks like Westgate said at 3.5, they saw sharp money on UNLV. I don't believe the hype with UNLV this year. Now, albeit, maybe I'm a little bit of a Willie Fritz fan. I do like his move to Houston. Houston being a Big 12 team, obviously is going to get a little bit more pub here. But I don't understand why all of a sudden they think UNLV is going to take a giant leap forward now here week 1 against a more, well, we'll say, I think a much improved Houston squad. How about that?
Well, you know what my frame of mind here, Kelly, and if you'll notice as we go on with our shows that you'll pick this up for me is when I see a line that looks too good to be true, more times than not it is. You got a Big 12 team playing at home, only laying a field goal against a UNLV program that really had, one good year? And again, a Mountain West team. They're not a Power 4 team. So to me, they're begging you to take the home side here. My lean would be on UNLV here. Again, it's not a game that I am going to be personally betting on. Folks, I'm not going to try to sell you on something I'm not betting on or I'm not selling at WagerTalk. This is a game I'm staying away from. But again, if you put the proverbial gun to my head, I take UNLV here plus the points. I just think
all right, Ross, I got a question from the text service here before we get Davey Fox. Ross made a ton of money during NBA playoffs, and Ross, we trust. All right, my buddy said this. He goes, Kelly, do you ever think that when all the guys on the panel, right, let's say College Game Day, big noon on Fox, all pick a team to win the title, they won't? He said every single one of them just picked Ohio State to win the national title. I kind of do think that's a little uneasy if you're holding an Ohio State ticket. But while we wait for some more questions from the chat, who is your national champion? And do you think Ohio State is really going to be in the mix this year?
No. Well, yes, they'll be in the mix, but again, you'll never catch me betting a prohibitive favor like Ohio State to win a national championship. You got a $20 million NIL team in Ohio State, and that's well known. Their roster right now is in excess of $20 million in NIL money they'll be receiving this year. So to me, when I see that, there's a little bit of hunger that's taken away. It's the obvious pick. I'm not a big futures guy, Kelly. So you're asking the wrong guy. But I can tell you this, I will not take as low odds as you've seen on Ohio State to win a national championship before we even play game 1 of the season. So in terms of who I like to win the national championship, I don't know.
Give me a little bit of a longer shot, Ross. Let's find a guy let's find a team like later down on the list. I'm just curious. Before these games kick off, maybe I need to be looking at.
All right, you're putting me on the spot here, Kelly. Thank you for doing that.
That's what I do. That's why it's last call. We're under the gun. We've got 21 minutes, Ross, until the games kick off. And I forgot to promote VR. So while you're looking on that list, VR, number 1 in college football profit, because Ross is number 2, if you guys remember that. Saturday, college football all access pass for VR, plus college football best bet pass. He's going to be on the Steam Room today, 1 p.m. Eastern, right here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. I apologize, VR. He sent me that at 10:47, and I missed it for his promotion. So we're going to get back to Ross, talking futures bets, just anything fun. We got 20 minutes until the college football slate kicks off. Ross, who have you come up with for me?
I think Notre Dame is a decent number. And I say that because, and again, they got a tough one right off the bat as an underdog at Texas A&M. But my point here is their schedule is favorable, which will put them in a pretty good position. I think this is a team that's going to get better as the season goes on, especially with Riley Leonard at quarterback. I think they play good enough defense to put themselves in a position to be in the 12-team playoff, possibly get a first-round bye in the top 4, and anything could happen from there. And this year, if you want to get away from just the Georgia and Ohio States, it's anybody's game, right, Kelly? So I would say that Notre Dame, to me, and I'm making this decision because you put me on the spot.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
That's what these people want to hear. We want to hear that, hey, it's okay. I'm not a futures better. I want people to know what they're getting when they buy your package. They're not going to get a futures bet from Ross Benjamin. All right. Yeah. Andrew Wojcik, fan favorite of the show. Well, my favorite guy that jumps in the comments section, at least on Saturdays. Can we get Ross's opinion on Georgia Clemson?
Yeah, I would have a slight lean toward Clemson here, getting the points.
Okay,
I know
we got to do an asterisk. Line opened 13.5. Did we ever see a 14? I don't recall. 10.5 right now. 10.5. This line has plummeted. So that's the one little asterisk here I will give you before you go into your breakdown.
Yeah, again, some of it is suspension related, and I think some of it is sharp money too. Again, I think Georgia prohibited favorite again to win the national championship, and rightfully so. And also playing in their backyard in Atlanta, where they've had a lot of success playing in that stadium. So I'm going to take Clemson here. Again, not part of my package. Again, not part of my bets. But in terms of leans go, I'll take the Clemson Tigers plus the 10.5, plus 11, whatever you can get them at. I certainly like them a lot better at 13.5 than the current number, though.
Of course. In week 1, we know these get on the move, and we always want to encourage people to get the best of the number. Ross Benjamin over at WagerTalk.com, WT.buzz/RB. Ross, if somebody were to buy your college football package, what can they expect from you?
Well, I mean, last year you mentioned it, finished number 2 overall. Gianni, by the way, was number 1. I'm going to beat him this year. And also, I got 4 picks up for sale today, right now at WagerTalk, a 3-game package. Also, a play on the West Virginia Penn State game. And you know what? I got down early on this game, so I'm going to encourage people not to buy that game for me if they're listening right now, only because the line move is they took away the value from me. I got down at 10 on this game. When I originally put it up at WagerTalk, it's now down to 7.5. So, Kelly, I would say that I think you like West Virginia. You got them at 8.
I'm on West Virginia with you. Okay. I'm going to flip this back to you. Can they win this game outright?
I think they can. I do. I think that they can. I think we're looking at their quarterback. I really like a lot. Penn State, Drew Allard is a good quarterback. He's in his second year. I'm sure he's going to improve from year 1. But I think West Virginia at home is always a tough out. And I think this is a better than expected West Virginia team. And I don't think Penn State is as good as their national ranking currently indicates. So I think this is a good spot to take the points here. I'm not going to get greedy, but it would not shock me whatsoever if West Virginia pulls the upset here.
I love it. I got a little self-promotion myself before we get into the Miami-Florida game. You have 16 minutes left to join my Splash contest, splashsports.com/KellyInVegas. Right now, we have a $3,500 overlay in the $30 entry. Splash got a little advantageous here. They added another Survivor challenge, and actually it kicks off in 3 hours because that's when the last available team kicks off. So you still got a little bit of time, but a $3,500 overlay there. The other 2 contests already filled, so you snooze, you lose. If you want to look for a college football pick'em, I've got a $500 and $100 one up. All right, Ross, we all know which game I'm on here. And I know that you may have an opinion, but this is another game that moved a lot. So I said, all right, I waited too long. I pump faked on the 4.5 with Florida. Just give me the plus 125. Florida's going to win this game tonight in the Swamp.
Yeah. Look, here's the thing, Kelly. Again, I look at what seems to be the obvious. Miami on paper is the better team. Miami with Cam Ward at quarterback. They bring over Damian Martinez from Oregon State, who is a underrated running back. If you look at his career numbers at Oregon State, this kid's a bulldog. Miami is nationally ranked, I believe, number 21, if I'm not mistaken. Florida, did not even receive a vote in the AP poll. This line makes no sense to me. None whatsoever. And, playing in the Swamp opening day, Miami, to me, every year, you talked about teams that never live up to expectations like Notre Dame and Texas A&M. I think you could put Miami of Florida in that category, Kelly.
Absolutely.
Every year they seem to be a top 25 team, and every year it seems like they just flirt with mediocrity. So, to me, my lean here is clearly on the Florida Gators plus the points. And I put this out on WagerTalk TV last week, and boy, oh boy, did I catch a lot of flack. But you know what? At the end of the day, we'll see what happens. I like Florida.
All right, we've got 14 minutes until the games kick off. If you have a question, you better drop it in the chat. Otherwise, I'm getting out of here because I want to watch college football all day. All right, I see nothing from anybody else. Going once, going twice. As I mentioned, Ross Benjamin finished 64-42 in 2023. Number 2, right behind VR in college football money earned. WT.buzz/RB. Thank you to Art DiCesare from our friends at the Superbook at the Westgate. Make sure you guys are going over there and taking advantage of that -109 on college football sides, -108 on NFL sides. We're not here next Sunday, but we're going to be here each and every weekend during college football. This has been Wager Talk's Last Call. We'll see you guys soon.